Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. This is News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is firmly, believes in fact, that any solution to a conflict cannot be found on the battlefield. Favors dialogue and diplomacy for resolving any conflict and holds bilateral talks with his Polish counterpart Donald Tusk. Russia says its forces have repelled a Ukrainian incursion in Bryansk region. Tim Walz accepts the nomination to be Harris's running mate, and he vows that he and Kamala Harris will defeat Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential election. As the Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 new Mpox cases in a week, Africa urgently seeks vaccines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Poland as part of his 3-day visit to Central Europe. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Polish Chancellery in Warsaw. Prime Minister Modi held one-on-one bilateral talks with his Polish counterpart, the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, in Warsaw. The Prime Minister will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and before he leaves for Ukraine, the Prime Minister will interact with business leaders and Polish influencers. And India and Poland held delegation-level talks after the bilateral talks, the one-on-one talks. And the leaders led their teams in these discussions. They held discussions on a wide range of issues. Present at the meeting were India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and the Polish delegation was led by Prime Minister Donald Tusk. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a joint press conference with his Polish counterpart, the Prime Minister Donald Tusk. And at that joint press conference, the Prime Minister of India said that India firmly believes that any solution to conflict, it cannot be found on the battlefield. India favors dialogue and diplomacy to resolve any conflict.
यूक्रेन और पश्चिम एशिया में चल रहे संघर्ष हम सभी के लिए गहरी चिंता का विषय है। भारत का यह दृढ़ विश्वास है कि किसी भी समस्या का समाधान रणभूमि में नहीं हो सकता। किसी भी संकट में मासूम लोगों की जान की हानि पूरी मानवता के लिए सबसे बड़ी चुनौती बन गई है। हम शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली के लिए डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी का समर्थन करते हैं।
And addressing the joint meeting in Warsaw, the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that discussions were held on strengthening cooperation in the area of defense and trade. And he said that Poland is ready to take part in India's defense modernization.
पोलैंड पूरी तरह से तैयार है भारत के सैन्य उपकरण के आधुनिकीकरण में भाग लेने के लिए। हमारे पास आवश्यक तकनीकी क्षमता है, विशेषज्ञ है हमारे ये। मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि हमें न केवल रक्षा के क्षेत्र में लेकिन सैन्य मुद्दों पर भी नहीं, लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में भारत एक वैश्विक नेता है कृत्रिम बुद्धिमत्ता के क्षेत्र में, और जो मानव जो इन तकनीकों का उपयोग हम कई क्षेत्रों में कर रहे हैं, रक्षा समेत।
The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, hailed the historic ties that India and Poland share. PM Modi said that on the 70 years of diplomatic ties, both nations have decided to transform the relationship into a strategic partnership.
आज हमने संबंधों को एक नई दिशा देने के लिए कई इनिशिएटिव्स की पहचान की है। दो लोकतांत्रिक देशों के रूप में हमारी पार्लियामेंट के बीच आदान प्रदान को बढ़ावा दिया जाना चाहिए। आर्थिक सहयोग को व्यापक रूप प्रदान करने के लिए प्राइवेट सेक्टर को जोड़ने के लिए काम किया जाएगा। फूड प्रोसेसिंग के लिए क्षेत्र में पोलैंड वर्ल्ड लीडर्स में से है। हम चाहते हैं कि पोलैंड की कंपनियां भारत में बनवाए जा रहे मेगा फूड पार्क से जुड़े। भारत में तेज गति से हो रहे शहरीकरण से वाटर ट्रीटमेंट, सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, अर्बन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऐसे क्षेत्रों में हमारे सहयोग के नए अवसर खुल रहे हैं।
And DD India's Vishal Barristo now joins us live from Warsaw with more on these stories. Vishal, you know, nothing short of momentous, raising a partnership to the strategic level. What are the reasons for this upgrade?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Mark. I'm here at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Shortly, Prime Minister would be here. He would offer his respects at the memorial. Now, coming back to a question, India and Poland, if we talk about the bilateral trade, it stands at $6 billion US. Now, that's not the potential that India and Poland has, because if you compare it with China, it is only 1/10 to what we have. So both countries want to take it to the next level. And you heard the Prime Minister, he says that India is a fast-growing country, and we are already the 5th largest economy. So there are certain things that we need to focus upon, especially Poland. We can use the expertise of the Polish technology in food processing, in waste management, in water management, and solid waste management, because India is fast becoming an urbanized country. And at the same time, the Polish government looks very keen on the artificial intelligence expertise that India has, and also in the defense sector, because India from the importer is now becoming an exporter, and Poland has shown its keen interest in buying defense equipments from India. So these are the two versions of the same coin, and both are democratically elected governments, and both value democracy much more, and both want peace and stability in the region. Remember, Poland can be the gateway to Europe for India, and it is still the largest economic partner or trading partner for India, but definitely we can do much better than what we have. Mark?
Yes, and Vishal, tell us about the potential, you know, the people-to-people linkages. What potential does it have between the two countries? What's the feel among the locals there?
Well, the locals are very much excited. If I could narrate you the incidents yesterday, a lot of Polish people, they were here with their mobile phones, and they were trying to capture pictures of the Prime Minister. There were 3 public events of the Indian diaspora. But yes, a section of the Polish society were also there, and these are the people who have suffered the horrors of the Second World War, and how they were grateful. They expressed their gratitude towards India when they were provided refuge at two places in Jamnagar and also in Kolhapur. And the survivors of those refugee camps also came and shook hands with the Prime Minister and took pictures with him. So the people-to-people connect is always there. And Prime Minister yesterday announced that the youth of Poland, selected youth, would be invited to India in memory of the Maharaja of Jamnagar, so that there is a direct connect between the youth of two countries. Mark?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Vishal Barrister will be coming back to you for more through the day. Now, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited the monument of the Battle of Monte Cassino during his visit to Poland, and he honored the Polish soldiers for their bravery in World War II. This monument was unveiled in 1999, and it commemorates the heroic efforts of the Second Polish Corps, and it reflects the enduring bond between Poland and its allies. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid a wreath and paid tribute at the monument of the Battle of Monte Cassino in Poland. The monument commemorates the sacrifice and valor of soldiers from Poland, India and other countries who fought alongside each other in the famous Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy during the Second World War. For the Prime Minister, it was a solemn moment to remember the valor of Indian soldiers who fought in World War II. Fought from May 11 to May 18, 1944, the Battle of Monte Cassino was a crucial and intense engagement in World War II. The battle was fiercely contested, with the Allied forces suffering significant losses. The monument features a headless winged Nike emerging from a shattered column, symbolizing victory and resilience. The urn containing the ashes of the Polish heroes is draped with a shroud featuring the cross of Monte Cassino, adding a layer of solemnity and reverence to the memorial. The monument was officially unveiled on May 30, 1999, during the 55th anniversary of the battle. The monument to the Battle of Monte Cassino continues to serve as a poignant reminder of the valor of the Second Polish Corps and the broader Allied effort during World War II. Bureau Report, DD India. When India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Polish counterpart in Poland, the minister on social media said that the two leaders discussed the Ukraine conflict, the Indo-Pacific situation and bilateral cooperation. The minister also said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit will give a fresh impetus to India-Polish ties. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll get you an update from Ukraine on the Russia-Ukraine battlefront. The Democratic Convention continues to boost the Harris-Walz ticket. The Supreme Court in Sri Lanka says that locals, their right to vote is being violated.
The World Wildlife Organization tells us that over 3 billion people across the globe rely on seafood. There are efforts being made to preserve our marine ecosystem, so let's dive right in.
The course of the river was getting shrinked in the upstream areas, and when there is no freshwater flow, the river Ichamoti only survives in the downstream areas, and it has become, in our terminology, we call it a tidal inlet.
Habitat from so many places in the world, and people didn't even know that it had happened.
Mussels that live at the bottom of the lake have this large effect on the biology of the entire lake.
This is the poster that we provide to people on our fish walks. So they can just look at this and identify which are the fish in season, and when we give them the test to go out and identify sustainable fish.
It's worrying because rising temperatures cause the water to expand, and with it, the sea level to rise.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lin. The U.S. President Joe Biden has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to urgently seal a truce deal in Gaza for the release of hostages. Now, both Israel and Hamas have stuck to their positions and their demands. The White House, in a statement, said that Biden had pressed the Israeli Prime Minister to close the ceasefire and hostage release deal and discussed upcoming talks in Cairo to remove any remaining obstacles. The U.S., Israeli, Egyptian and Qatari negotiators are expected to meet in Cairo this weekend. They have for months struggled to bridge differences between Israel and Hamas. The call between Biden and Netanyahu comes after the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken had made a visit to West Asia. The Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded more than 1,000 new Mpox cases in a week, just last week, as the viral disease has raged on in the Central African country. Now, more than 500 people have died as well, and over 16,000 others have contracted the disease since the start of this year. And we are joined by Chris Okamringa from Kinshasa with more on the story. Chris, what are people being advised to do to stay away from infection?
So the government has been advising people to follow the public health measures like hand washing, social distancing, and notifying health workers of any suspected cases so that they can be immediately isolated and treated. They're also telling people to avoid eating sick or dead animals. You know, the DRC is a country with very large forests, and people have been hunting and eating animals for decades. So the government has been telling them that one of the strains of Mpox that is circulating in the DRC is spread from wild animals to people. So they've been telling them to watch what they eat and avoid eating animals that are sick or dead because they can get the virus. There's also another variant of Mpox known as Clade 1b, which is a new one and said to be more contagious and deadly than the other one, which is quite mild. That one is mainly transmitted sexually. So the government has been advising people to watch their sexual behavior. And these are issues that are quite difficult for people to apply. So what the government has been doing is that they have been putting posters in all public areas showing pictures of people with all these skin rashes all over their body to try and show the people the scale of this disease so that some of them can change their behavior. And that is something that they're doing as a public awareness campaign across the country.
Chris, also, how has the outbreak affected the movement of people, goods and services within the economy?
No, the outbreak hasn't affected the movement of goods and trade in the DRC because the government has left all the trade routes open for people to continue carrying out their businesses normally. What the government has stressed is that calling on people to cooperate with health workers so that they can immediately identify suspected cases and treat them. You know, the World Health Organization has discouraged travel restrictions because they say it creates a much bigger problem, and so they have urged health workers to step up measures to try and prevent the disease from spreading by testing, conducting more testing, and doing what they call contact tracing, following up all people who came into contact with suspected cases. That is what they have put their emphasis on, but the trade routes are all open. The only area where they have stepped up measures is when people are traveling out of the country. There is screening in some of the major border points across the country because this disease has already spread to neighboring countries like Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, which led the World Health Organization to declare a public health emergency of international concern. So people are moving freely across the DRC.
Chris Okamringa from Kinshasa, thank you very much for being with us. The humanitarian crisis in Sudan has intensified. Cholera infections with the war-stricken country recording almost 600 cases since July. Sudanese Health Ministry said that the country has recorded 593 cases and 28 deaths since announcing the epidemic on July 23. The WHO and UNICEF, they have cooperated with the Sudanese Health Ministry to spray chlorine and also open treatment and isolation centers in locations that are heavily affected by the disease. And the country is also suffering the world's largest hunger crisis with 25.6 million people in hunger or some in acute hunger. The Democratic Party's vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz, has branded Donald Trump as weird and dangerous at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The Minnesota governor has become a household name and has introduced himself to the American voters and promised them that Kamala Harris was ready to lead the country with energy, passion and joy. Nick Harper reports from Washington, D.C.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz rounded out day 3 of the Democratic National Convention. His speech was short, but it was packed full of energy and packed full of sports metaphors. He embraced his small-town American upbringing and his time as a high school American football coach. He said he wasn't used to giving big speeches like this one. He said he was more used to giving pep talks to his team as a coach. He tried to draw a contrast between himself and Donald Trump, saying that his values were all about looking after your neighbours, being a good neighbour, being there for the people in your community, even if they had different views to you. He branded Trump as weird and dangerous and said that he was ready to turn the page on him.
When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations free to pollute your air and water. And banks free to take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
During the course of the night, we also heard speeches which were all based around the theme of fighting for freedoms. The Democrats saying that they would fight for abortion rights, reproductive rights, civil rights, and saying that Trump would be a threat to freedom in the form of being a threat to democracy. There was also a surprise speech from Oprah Winfrey, and she said that this was all about a choice between Harris's optimism and Trump's cynicism, saying that it was a choice between common sense and nonsense. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Well, Russia has prevented Ukraine's incursion in the western Bryansk region near Kursk, where advancement began since early August. On Wednesday, Russian security forces repelled the attack by Ukraine in the Klimovo district. Russia shot down 28 drones, and one of the drones caused a fire at a military facility in Russia's southern Volgograd region. No casualties were reported, but temporary aviation restrictions have been imposed in the area. Amid the incursion by Ukraine this month, Russia has begun setting up concrete shelters for civilians in crowded areas. So that's the news from the Russian front. And Megumi Lim now joins us from Kiev with more news on what's happening on from the Ukrainian front. Well, what's the official position, Megumi, of Ukraine on how much it controls the Kursk region?
Well, Ukraine has made its position quite clear that this continues to be a defensive operation taking place inside the Kursk region. President Zelensky has clearly stated that Kyiv's aims is to create a buffer zone for the Sumy region, which sits just across the border from the Kursk region and has been coming under regular Russian bombardment since the full-scale invasion began. And President Zelensky is saying that this buffer zone is needed to prevent this from continuing and to also prevent any future possible Russian ground offensives into the Sumy region. Now, Ukraine is saying they have no intention of holding Russian territory permanently. This is not about territorial expansion, but again, about defense. And so in combination with this Kursk operation, we've been seeing and Ukraine's continued campaign of attacks against military targets inside Russia. Just today, Ukraine's spy agency chief Kirilo Budanov confirmed that yesterday's largest drone attack against Moscow was carried out by Ukraine's spy agency and also special forces, and that he's saying that the target was a signals intelligence center located on the outskirts of Moscow, and also the drones were targeting other military assets, Russian military assets, including a military base located in the Rostov region. Now, Ukraine is saying it currently controls 1,200 square kilometers of territory inside the Kursk region and also 93 settlements. We do know Kiev's immediate goals right now, as Zelensky mentioned, but we still do not know how long this operation will last and what Kiev's end goal is for this Kursk incursion.
Megumi, it's going to be 33 years since Ukraine's independence from the Soviet Union on Saturday. What's the threat perception? You know, the U.S. Embassy says that there's a heightened risk.
That's right. Ukraine is marking its 33 years of independence this weekend, and you know, Russia. This is happening against the backdrop of obviously a grinding war. Russian forces advancing into eastern Ukraine in Russia's Kursk region, and Russia has repeatedly said it is going to retaliate for the against the Kursk operation. And the U.S. Embassy is saying now that it has information, that the United States has information that Russia is going to step up. It's planning to step up its drone and missile attacks against the capital, against other parts of Ukraine, and is advising residents to identify bomb shelters and to immediately seek shelter if and when an air raid alert is issued. Now, residents here have gotten very, very used to air raid alerts, and they go largely ignored due to the fact that we do have a very robust air defense umbrella here in the capital. But this warning is obviously an important reminder that safety is not guaranteed, despite the fact that we do have this air defense system, and that Russia can retaliate at any moment. And so this weekend we may be seeing some kind of retaliation from the Russian side.
Megumi Lim from Kiev, thanks very much for being with us. Now let's take a look at some other stories from around the world. 5 bodies were retrieved from a sunken wreck. This is of a yacht that belongs to the wife of the British tech magnate Mike Lynch. The bodies were brought ashore on rescue boats and taken to nearby hospitals for formal identification. The local authorities refused to give any more information about who these people might have been. But a search operation will further continue for one body that still remains missing. The Sri Lankan government has announced visa-free access for citizens of 35 countries, including major countries like India, the UK, the USA, Canada, Germany, Japan, and others, among others, that is. Now, this initiative is approved by the Sri Lankan cabinet and is going to take effect from the 1st of October this year. It's going to last for 6 months. It's notable that India is the largest source market for tourism in Sri Lanka. The Supreme Court of Sri Lanka has ordered the country's election commission to hold the postponed local government elections immediately. The court ruled that the fundamental rights of voters have been violated because of the postponement of the 2023 local government elections. The elections were not held after the government cited that they didn't have the funds to do so because of the country's economic crisis. China is making significant advancements in humanoid robotics, challenging industry leaders with innovative startups and affordable high-performance robots. Now, at the exhibition venue, humanoid robots were seen performing simple tasks such as picking up items, walking through obstacles, and mimicking human gestures and expressions. Humanoid robots are primarily used for simple inspection and internal logistics tasks in industrial production. Californian condors, they made a remarkable comeback or return to the skies of Mexico thanks to decades of dedicated conservation. And now, once on the brink of extinction, these majestic birds have finally successfully been reintroduced to their natural habitats in the mountains of Baja California. Now, conservation programs involving the collaboration between Mexican and U.S. organizations have played a pivotal role in the recovery of this wonderful bird, focusing on captive breeding, habitat protection, and reducing threats such as lead poisoning. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. The National Science Awards 2024 are conferred on the recipients by President Murmu. And floods in Tripura and nearby areas. Also, the first meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill, it takes place. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lind. Here's a recap of our main stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that India is firmly believing that any solution to conflict cannot be found on the battlefield. He favors dialogue and diplomacy for resolving any conflict and holds bilateral talks with his Polish counterpart Donald Tusk. Tim Walz accepts the nomination to be Harris's running mate and vows that he and Kamala Harris will defeat Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential election. As the Democratic Party's, as Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 new Mpox cases in a week, Africa urgently seeks vaccines. Let's get you some more national stories now. India's President Draupadi Murmu presented the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, that's the National Science Award 2024 in New Delhi on Thursday. And these awards, they were conferred on celebrated biochemist Govindarajan Padmanabhan, and he was selected in fact for the first Vigyan Ratna award. That's the topmost award in science in the country. And ISRO's Chandrayaan-3 team was selected for the first Vigyan Team Award. These awards are given in the field of science, technology and innovation. They recognize outstanding and inspiring scientific, technological and innovation contributions of researchers, technologists and innovators. Well, there is no let-up in the flood situation in the northeast of India in the state of Tripura because of continuous rainfall there. The Met Office has forecast an alert for extremely heavy rainfall for today. The state machinery is is on its toes, in fact, to mitigate the impact of these floods and to provide relief to the people. Major rivers like the Gomati and Muhuri are flowing above the danger mark, and they have destroyed hectares of cropping land. The Chief Minister, Dr. Manik Saha, has he has conducted an assessment of the flood-affected areas in Agartala and has visited shelter houses. He's taken stock of the situation. He's ensured timely support of those in need. India's Home Minister Amit Shah has spoken to the Chief Minister and he's taken stock of the flood situation there. Amit Shah said that the centre is rushing teams of NDRF apart from boats and helicopters to the state to assist the local government in relief and rescue operations. Amit Shah added that the government firmly stands with the people of Tripura during this during this hour of crisis of theirs. India's Ministry of External Affairs has rejected Bangladesh's concern on the current flood situation caused by the opening of the Dumbur Dam upstream of the Gumti River in northeastern state of Tripura. The area alongside the river has witnessed heavy rainfall in the past few days, and calling the information factually incorrect, the ministry has refuted it. And floods, in fact, have caused power outages, leading to problems of communication on both sides of Tripura and adjoining districts of Bangladesh. India remains committed, in fact, to resolving issues and mutual concerns in water resources and river water management through bilateral consultations and technical discussions. Nepal's weather department has predicted light to moderate rain with thunder and lightning in some places. The Met Office has called on people there to take precautions. Yesterday, in fact, a landslide had disrupted vehicular traffic around the Nagdunga area of Chandragiri, which is in Kathmandu Valley. The Karnail Highway, it was blocked because of landslides and incessant rainfall in Smod and Hulma in the Kalikot district. Work is underway, in fact, to open the roads blocked because of the floods and landslides. In Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus's interim government is taking steps to publish a white paper. This is on the current economic situation in the country. The Chief Advisor's Office announced on Wednesday that a committee led by the economist Debapriya Bhattacharya has been formed to prepare the white paper. The committee will publish the white paper within 90 days after taking charge. A document has, in fact, from the office, it states that the proposed white paper will reflect the overall picture of the current economy, including public finance, inflation, and food management. So the white paper will focus on the country's external balance, also export-import situation, remittances, foreign direct investment, foreign exchange reserves, foreign finance flow, and debt status. The Government of India may increase disbursements under the production-linked incentive scheme to nearly 15,000 crore rupees for the financial year 2025. That is double of the 6,800 crore rupees in the year 2024. The end of May, in fact, showed combined investments under the PLA schemes having hit 1.3 trillion rupees. That's about $15 billion US, covering 14 sectors. The PLI scheme was launched in 2021. Large-scale electronics manufacturing sector, mainly mobile manufacturers, will account for 41% of the total dispersals, and four sectors, which are automobile and auto components, advanced chemistry cells, textile products, and specialty steel. They're going to receive incentives for the first time this year. Some more stories now making news. The first meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024, it takes place in New Delhi. And what's happened is that during this meeting, the representatives of the Minority Affairs Ministry briefed the members on the bill and also the amendments proposed in the bill. The JPC will submit its report to Parliament. This is on the next day of the first week of the winter session. In the Kolkata doctor rape murder case, India's apex court has directed the states and the union territories to prevent violence at medical establishments and ensure the safety of doctors who are willing to join. The Supreme Court will continue the hearing on the 5th of September. A specific security alert was detected on an Air India flight traveling from Mumbai to Thiruvananthapuram on Thursday. The security threat for passengers' safety protocol was carried out and all on board were disembarked safely. The flight landed safely in Thiruvananthapuram and was parked in a remote bay for mandatory checks by the security agencies. A bus traveling from Leh to eastern Ladakh fell into a 200-meter deep gorge. At least 6 people lost their lives after a school bus skidded off the road, and the accident left 22 people injured, many of them critically. The injured have been shifted to the district hospital of Leh. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has declared, in fact, it has decided to decline a therapy which is used for a common form of blood cancer. Regeneron, the company that has asked for FDA approval to approve this therapy, has vowed to continue its goal of making the treatment widely available. DD India's Mitch McCain reports from New York.
Regeneron was seeking approval from the Food and Drug Administration for its therapy linvoseltamab, which is used to treat patients with myeloma after their cancer has returned or worsened after 3 prior treatments. Regeneron says the FDA decided not to grant approval for the drug because of findings at a pre-approval inspection at a third-party manufacturer. According to Reuters, the company says it's committed to working closely with the third-party manufacturer and the health regulator to make sure linvoseltamab can reach patients. It says the issue's now been rectified, but it's waiting on another inspection. It's reported that the multiple myeloma market was worth almost $16 billion last year, and that the European Medicines Agency, or EMA, is still reviewing its request for the therapy. Mitch McCann in New York, reporting for DD India.
PwC, China's biggest accounting firm, has informed its clients that it expects a 6-month business ban by Chinese authorities as early as September as part of a punishment for its audit of collapsed property developer Evergrande. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday that the ban would prevent it from signing off on financial results and initial public offerings and from conducting other regulated activities. A PwC spokesperson declined to comment, saying that it is an ongoing regulatory matter. PwC has been under scrutiny for its role in auditing Evergrande since the troubled property developer was accused in March of a $78 billion fraud, leading to an exodus of clients. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Neeraj Chopra to be seen in action again at the Lucerne Diamond League. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo has become a YouTube sensation almost overnight.
The World Wildlife Organization tells us that over 3 billion people across the globe rely on seafood. There are efforts being made to preserve our marine ecosystem. So let's dive right in.
The course of the river was getting shrunk in the upstream areas. And when there is no freshwater flow, the river Ichamoti only survives in the downstream areas, and it has become, in our terminology, we call it a tidal inlet.
Habitat from so many places in the world, and people didn't even know that it had happened.
Mussels that live at the bottom of the lake have this large effect on the biology of the entire lake.
So this is the poster that we provide to people on our fish walks. So they can just look at this and identify which are the fish in season, and when we give them the test to go out and identify sustainable fish.
It's worrying because rising temperatures cause the water to expand, and with it, the sea level to rise.
23 अगस्त को जब भारत ने चंद्रमा पर तिरंगा फहराया, उस दिन को अब हिंदुस्तान नेशनल स्पेस डे के रूप में मनाया जाएगा। भारत का गगनयान भी हमारे स्पेस सेक्टर को एक नई बुलंदी पर ले जाने वाला है।
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn, and let's get you the sports news now. Well, India's star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra is going to be seen in action again at the Lucerne Diamond League late on Thursday night, and this event features a strong field including the Paris Olympics bronze medalist Anderson Peters, though the Olympic champion Arshad Nadeem is skipping the event. The Lucerne Diamond League meet, it's going to be the 5th competition of the season for Neeraj Chopra. Neeraj won silver at the Paris 2024 Olympics with a throw of 89.45 meters and is currently 4th in the Diamond League standings. He needs a top 6 finish, in fact, in Lucerne to qualify for the Diamond League final in Brussels next month. And his main competition includes Jakub Wadalic from Czech and Julian Weber of Germany. The Portuguese footballer Cristiano Ronaldo has broken the world record after hitting the fastest 1 million YouTube subscribers on Thursday. The football star launched his channel on Wednesday, quickly amassing hundreds of thousands and now millions of followers, subscribers within hours. And the 39-year-old and five-time Ballon d'Or winner, announced on social media saying that the wait is over, the channel is here, subscribe and join the journey. And just a couple of hours later, after his first video went live, 1.69 million subscribers had already joined the channel. So Ronaldo, who has 112.5 million followers on X and 633 million on Instagram, is now taking over YouTube as well. Chelsea has completed the signing of the Portugal forward João Felix from Atletico Madrid, while the England midfielder Conor Gallagher moves in the opposite direction. In fact, the 24-year-old Felix has signed a 7-year deal with the club, and he had scored 4 goals in 20 appearances during his 6-month loan in which he was given to West London in 2023. Felix expressed his excitement, and he said that he is really happy to be back and that he can't wait to get started. Meanwhile, Gallagher, who has signed a 5-year contract with the Spanish club, scored 10 goals in his 90 appearances for Chelsea. Gallagher had entered the last year of his contract at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea decided to sell now instead of losing him on a free transfer next summer. Some cricket news now. The Afghanistan Cricket Board has appointed the former Indian fielding coach Ramakrishnan Sridhar as the assistant coach for their national team on Wednesday. Ramakrishnan will coach the team for their upcoming fixtures, which are going to be against New Zealand and then South Africa. The board expressed the hope that Sridhar will effectively fulfill his role and is looking forward to a potential long-term contract in the future. Sridhar, who worked as India's fielding coach under the leadership of the former head coach Ravi Shastri, is expected to bring a lot of experience, especially in coaching, to the table. And sticking with cricket, day 2 of the England-Sri Lanka 3-match series. This is the first test. It has been delayed because of rain on Thursday. Now, England were trailing by 214 runs after day 1. Earlier, Sri Lanka's captain, Dhananjay De Silva, won the toss and chose to bat. The team collapsed, in fact, and they were 6 for 3 at one stage in just 7 overs. But then De Silva, he himself led the recovery. He made a steady 74 in the middle order, batting solidly. The tourists' decision to bat first seemed to have backfired, and they were bowled out for 236. There was some rearguard action, another 70 towards the end. England were 22 without loss at stumps yesterday, and Ben Duckett and Dan Lawrence opened the innings for the Three Lions. Musicians John Legend and Sheila E. and Stevie Wonder performed on stage during the 3rd day of the National Democratic Convention, and the music icon Stevie Wonder had called America to come together. While John Legend and Sheila E., they honored the late music star Prince, the music star that is Prince, with a performance of his song Let's Go Crazy. The late singer Prince was born, in fact, in Minnesota, and he passed away in 2016. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. That app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.
August 2023, India created history by successfully landing Chandrayaan-3 on the lunar surface. To commemorate the feat, August 23rd has been declared as National Space Day.
I see space as a critical infrastructure without which, like roads, waterways and air transport, space is becoming so critical for our security, for national asset mapping and for comfort of life of human beings. We must become a leader to take it the place to go to Moon, Mars and habitat of creation of human beings outside. Who else will do? I believe India will be the leader in doing it.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Less than 100 kilometers from Shillong and a 3-hour drive towards Doki River, travelers now have a chance to experience something unique.
My name is Jason Jaman Lamare. I'm the co-owner of Pioneer Adventure Tours. So when we started, there wasn't even a road to the village. I mean, the road was in a very bad condition. So we came to the village and all that. This is in the month of, I think, October. We came here and we decided to, we just came for a fishing trip. Myself and a few friends, we bought our snorkeling gear as well. That day was when I realized that this place got potential for a lot of adventure spots. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring in scuba diving. Till date, a lot of my clients ask me, is it actually possible to scuba dive in Meghalaya, being a hill station? Till the time they come here, then they realize that this place is actually a paradise for scuba diving. Number one is because it's actually freshwater diving. It's not like your normal saltwater diving. By November is when it gets really crystal clear. You can actually see the bottom. And of course, it's the visibility. You can't imagine, like in some corner of India, we're hardly about 8 kilometers from Bangladesh, you have the cleanest river. That was the highlight. The idea was to pull in clients, selective clients, to come to this area to actually enjoy the area, enjoy meeting the local people, having the local food and all that, and then camp and then dive. So when we told the village that this is what we're going to do, we're going to bring in initially scuba diving with camping. We're also going to make sure that you guys are going to grow along with us. As time goes by, besides our clientele, the adventurous ones, you're going to have a lot of clients who are coming who just want to come for sightseeing. And this river, Umgat River being one of the most crystal clear rivers all over India, people are going to come and just have a look at the river. So when they come here, it's going to be your duty to see that you take them for boat rides. While we promote ourselves, we are going to promote you. And that is what exactly happened. By bringing in clients, the village has grown. But now there is a problem definitely about the fact that we have to maintain sustainable tourism. Since we are about 4 or 5 divers, what we do in the season is for about a week, we just clean up the whole river as much as we can. We get a lot of junk coming from upstream, mainly plastics, we just clean it up. Then of course, as the season goes, it's our job to see that this river is clean. We make sure that no one throws plastic. If you probably type Google probably about 8-10 years back, if you type Dauki, you know, it'll show on the map as town, you know, where you export and import coal. Now if you type Dauki or Shanong Padang or Darang or any close village around this area, immediately you'll get it as a tourist destination. Actually, we want to make this area the heart of the adventure destination in Meghalaya.